today we're having a bit of a wander around the Maker Heights campsite. It's a bit rainy, so please excuse any odd noises. It's because it's our last day here, so I'm filming from under a brolly. I've got really mixed feelings about this place. The first night was really quite busy, and when we got back from hanging out with our friends, there were campfires going everywhere. Now, I do love a good campfire, and being in Queen's Guide, the occasional rousing rendition of my uncle's lavatory cleaner. Oh no, hang on, I'm a mum now, so that one's banned. Perhaps Ginganguli then. But there were so many fires, the caravan stank, and it was a bit difficult to see where you were going. Anyway, one chap got his guitar out, and thankfully it was pretty good. So, that was good, though he tired easily and switched on the car stereo, which spoiled things a bit. But everyone was really respectful, and everyone shut up at 10:30, which is the normal rule in the field we're pitched up in, because it's the Seaview field, which is supposed to be the quiet part of the site and designed for families. So that was all good. When we came back on the second night, though, and I'm going to sound like some sort of old fogey here, a group of 6 younger people, probably in their mid-20s-ish, trying to relive their teenage years, have pitched up pretty close to our front left corner, certainly closer than the 5 metres the site asks people to leave between pitches. I didn't say anything to them then, as it was pitch black when we got back. There were several small tents and seemed to be doing their best to chat at a reasonable level. However, later that night it became clear that they hadn't got the message about this not being the group field, but the quiet families field, and the chatting went on past 10:30 and past 11, and of course as the rest of the field went silent, their voices started carrying more. It was just after 11 p.m, I think, when a rather odd smell started pervading our caravan. Now, I led an embarrassingly tame life as a teenager and through university, so I'm no expert, and so I can't be exactly sure what it was, other than it definitely wasn't wood or tobacco smoke. And it did seem to cause a case of the giggles a bit later on. I did pop out and have a gentle word, because whilst I didn't want to spoil their fun, I did want them to stop trying to fumigate us out. Anyway, it didn't make a blind bit of difference, and on they went until about 1 in the morning, when 2 of the 6 decided to drive off, presumably to go home. Come the morning, they were all packed up by 9:30 a.m. though, and thanking each other for a great and expanding camping. Interesting. Completely oblivious to their impact on anybody else. It's these sort of things that make solo parent caravanning a bit challenging, much more so than the towing or the setting up, I think. Sure, I'm less concerned by a group smoking something dodgy than drinking heavily, but as a lone adult in these circumstances responsible for the safety of your kids, these things really do make you feel a little bit vulnerable or even lonely. If we were on any sort of club site or a larger site or of course a CL, it would have been much clearer how to rope in a warden or an owner for help. But here, not so much. I suppose there was a mobile number on the blackboard out by reception, but that would have meant leaving the kids to go and get it, and it was incredibly late, and whilst we didn't feel in any danger, I was just really annoyed by their thoughtlessness. Also, the sites say that the warden makes regular rounds, but I can't say I saw them at any point during our stay here, other than a couple of members of staff doing a quick sweep and a clean up of the loos. Thankfully, the third night was bliss. It was exactly what this sort of off-grid back-to-basics site should be about. There was loads of room between the various groups there and the various families, and there was a huge variety of different types of outfits pitched up there. And it was a clear night, so we could spend ages looking at the stars. There were just a few fires going with gentle background chatter. In other words, perfect. So anyway, back onto what's here. This is very much a back-to-basics campsite. Espoused philosophy is all about proper camping with eco-friendly underpinnings. But for the pitch fees relative to what's provided, I can only conclude that the owners are having a laugh. The fees are £8 per adult per night in low season and £12 per person per night in high season. Kids under 16 are free. Dogs are an extra £2 per night per dog, regardless of season. So assuming you come as a couple or a 2 adult family, then that's £24 per night. Apparently, all the money from the site is recycled into conserving the area, so the old gun positions and the old military buildings and so on, some of which date from the 1700s. However, compared to an off-grid CL, if you're 2 or more adults, I think it's quite poor value for money, especially as it's not obvious where it's recycled into the conservation of the area. I guess the pitch fee is further accentuated as the Hawkins battery campsite, which is within the walls of one of the other ancient gun emplacement batteries, is just 2 minutes further on, and £14 per night, including electrical hookup. I believe they also have loos, although I'm not sure about showers there. Anyway, We're just one adult, me and the kids, so for us it represents a better deal than a CL, as we always end up paying full price at CLs, whether it's just me and the kids or Dad on a mission is also with us. The site's quite large, although there's a lot of wild long grass, so finding a flattish space to pitch up isn't as easy as the helicopter view photos might suggest. The site consists of 2 large fields. The larger meadow view field is suggested for adults and groups, and for those who want more of a festival, maybe more of a party vibe. Then the other field is the sea view field, which is supposed to be the quiet field and designed more for a relaxed family vibe. There's also a part fenced off at the back in this particular field for tents only, where you can either park up if you've got a car and carry your stuff in, or just carry in normally if you're on a bike or hiking. And for the most spectacular views, you need to be in the sea view field, where you look over Plymouth and you can see the ferries going to and fro and so on. In terms of facilities, here in the sea view field there are 3 water taps, all on the top side, but evenly distributed, one by the roadway in, one at the far end and one roughly in the middle, and a couple of communal fire pits, and that's your lot. The main loos are so far away that there's a porter cabin set towards the reception building, where there are also full recycling and bin facilities. Ladies, mind out for the push button taps in here, as the one on the far left pinched my finger quite badly. Back past the main building that houses reception is the entrance to the Meadowview field. This is a large field, so hopefully easier to find a nice spacious little spot away from everybody else. It's quite a walk though to the main facilities, which are housed in one of the Nissen huts next to the main entrance. By the way, I should mention, be very careful on the entrance track in, because as you're pulling off the main road there are some really huge terrible potholes, and they're everywhere, so it's really difficult to avoid them. So here are the main facilities: 2 showers, 2 loos and some sinks in the ladies. I assume that there's the same number in the men's, but I've no idea, as we use the shower in our friend's holiday cottage. The showers are £1 a go, paid for with 20p pieces, so come prepared. For this size of site that seems an absolutely crazily small number, but the once I went in they were fine, and we were using the portaloos up by the family field as I said, and I never had to queue for those either, so perhaps they are okay after all. You might think that doesn't really matter. That's fine, I'll use the facilities in my caravan or motorhome, and that's fine for fresh water. But here we get to one of the site's great mysteries. What on earth do you do with your grey water? This place says that motorhomes and campervans and caravans are welcome, but they're really not set up for us, and not really aware of our needs, I think. I love off-grid fields. So this isn't about electric hookups, it's about how we could lighten the load on their facilities with a little bit of forethought to help us. Anyway, what on earth to do with our grey waste? From the sea view field, it's at least a 5-minute walk to the washing up facilities, which carrying a big heavy kadak plate or huge bowl of washing up isn't very appealing. Luckily we were hanging out with our friends, as I said, and they were catering for us for almost every meal, which was lovely. So other than washing toast crumbs off of plates, we didn't really have any washing up, and I use eco biodegradable washing up when we do, and our only other waste is a little bit of water from teeth brushing. So at the end of our 3 nights here, I found a suitable spot in the hedge to tip the little bit of grey water that we had. I'm not sure if that's what the site wanted us to do with it. There was no mention of grey water at all. I completely forgot to ask the lady when we were checking in, and as I said, it was very rare to see anybody around, so nobody to ask specifically. The reception also is only open for a couple of hours every day. Bigger problem that might be faced by campers with bladder issues or much younger kids is that there's no chemical toilet disposal point, and signs in the toilets specifically forbidding the emptying of cassettes. For us, in the daytime this isn't an issue because we're mostly with our friends, but when we were on site the boys are old enough now to use the on-site loos by themselves. But in the middle of the night I don't want them trekking all the way over a dark and lumpy field, and potentially quite muddy after some rain we had one day. I don't want them doing that all on their own. Over 3 nights this wasn't an issue, though it did mean we towed home with a partially full cassette. And for others, if you come here, you'll need to think very carefully about how you use your onboard loo and whether that limits how long you can stay. When I asked why this was, the site said that it was because their ancient plumbing system and eco-credentials. Now, I use BioBlue, which is a septic tank bacteria-friendly loo chemical, no formaldehyde or nasties in there, and it's designed especially for marine environments. And I started using this when we stayed on a CL with some particularly strong eco-credentials, so I think this is pretty good stuff. So I do think if the site was suitably determined, they could provide a solution, and this idea that their system can't take the volume, in some sense, makes no sense at all. Nobody produces a greater volume of wee just because they're using an onboard toilet than if they were weeing into the site toilet every time. Sure, a few litres being tipped at once is clearly an issue, especially if it contains paper, etc., but I think if the site truly wants to encourage rather than tolerate the type of units which have onboard loos, then I'm sure they could find a solution. Or they could install some more easily reachable composting loos or such like, and other eco-friendly facilities to make staying for a family much easier, especially if you're coming as a one-adult family. Some visitors don't look after the site quite as well as the owners would like. So the last bit to show you are the bins here and the camper's kitchen and the washing up facilities, which are much closer to the main part of the Meadowview site, but still quite a trek down if you're on the far side. There's also some sofas in here and some games, and it really seriously reminds me of the common area in a university hall of residence. On site here is the canteen, which does what it says on the tin roof. We didn't eat here, but our friends have in the past, and they say it's pretty good. So in summary, the camp's owners are clear about what they're trying to achieve. But as is often the case, not all visitors get that or think about their impact on others. Personally, I think when you're staying on a less structured site, harmony tends to be promoted by occasional pottering by the owner or the manager and just checking that everyone's doing okay. The site is large, so using the facilities isn't easy, and it's human nature, for example, to want to barbecue or to have a fire near your setup, rather than trekking all the way to the Nissen huts as suggested to use the central barbecue area. It's just not workable unless you're in a big group. I guess I'd sum up that it's an absolutely beautiful site and has a great ethos, but it feels as if the day-to-day practicalities of family camping haven't really been deeply considered. I hope you found our review helpful. Thanks so much for following our adventures, and please do subscribe to see what we get up to next. Bye for now.